Abernathy, MD, PhD, Chief Medical Officer, Chief Scientific Officer, Senior Vice President of Oncology, Flatiron. Welcome to Juicing with Gary. Very excited about this morning, Amy. Before we sit down and have a conversation, we're going to make a juice.
Okay.
I have made a special juice for you. So I have called this one the Rising Blues. Would you like to know why?
Yes, please. Tell me more.
Did you ever hear of a great group in the 60s called the Animals?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, they had a great song. There is a house in New Orleans they call the rising sun. So I need your help to put this all together. So I'm going to need some cutting skills. You are a physician.
I'm a physician.
Do you know how to use knives?
Sort of.
Okay. Well, what I'd like you to do is take these beautiful red apples, and I'd like you to just cut them into quarters for me, if you don't mind. Now, the cabbage, they say, that if a male was to have 1 cup of cabbage a day, provides 90% of the vitamin C necessary for their body. And for a woman, 75%.
We always need a little bit more.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, turn on the juicer. All right, and take off the lid. So let's get it in there, and you can just push it right down. Oh, now look at this. Look at this beautiful purple. Oh yeah, you're getting juicy. You're getting juicy.
Got it. Okay.
This is gonna make a mess. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, you can stop the juicer.
There we go.
I'm gonna take mine, and Amy, sincerely, it's an honor to have you here.
This is gonna be fun. Cheers.
Cheers.
There we
Thanks for
go.
juicing.
The Rising Blues.
Yeah, the Rising Blues. There we are. Well, Amy, thank you again for being here. Thanks for juicing with me. Now I'm excited to learn more about you, to talk about Flatiron, to talk about cancer and oncology. So you're really trying to change cancer in so many ways, and I'm so impressed by that. But to get there, I want to go back to little Amy. How does a little girl decide that she wants to be a physician?
Well, I really thought in the beginning that I wanted to be a scientist. And that became evident to me when I was a kid and I loved math and chemistry. I ultimately got very interested in robotics and programming. And it turned out my chemistry teacher worked at NASA in a summer program, and she invited me to come and show my stuff and see whether or not I could get into this summer program that ultimately led to a placement in the artificial intelligence lab and the responsibility for programming one of NASA's first robots.
And you've been at Duke a long time. You stayed at Duke quite a while. You were a professor in the College of Medicine, and then you got a PhD, I understand.
I was tapped to become the chief resident at Duke, which was, usually a pretty big deal. So I was very honored by this and stopped my oncology training to become chief resident. Halfway through my chief year, my husband got a phenomenal job offer to basically live his dream in Australia. I thought, okay, now this is his chance to do his thing, and so I'm gonna go ahead and leave medicine and go to Australia. And when we stepped back, what became obvious was that perhaps I could go to Australia with my husband, but still have some way of pursuing medicine and my training. I completed my oncology training, still as an oncology fellow from Duke, but now doing the rest of my work in Australia.
Phenomenal. And then you come back to the States.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about Flatiron. You've now found yourself in a senior role at Flatiron. Can you tell me about the role? Tell me about Flatiron.
Flatiron Health is a health technology company focused on using data and technology to accelerate cancer research and improve cancer care. So I mentioned at Flatiron, one of the things that we focus on is cleaning up the data that's in what we call unstructured documents. These are basically PDFs or digital paper. So the radiology report, the pathology report, the physician's medical case notes. It's probably the thing about Flatiron that's some of our most special secret sauce. One of the interesting things that I think just basically gives a good example of how important it is to get every single data point right is whether or not a person is alive or deceased. And it turns out that that's a really hard thing to know. We don't have a single reliable national data set that we can rapidly pull from and use, and so we aggregate data across multiple sources. So some of it we buy, so for example, gravesite and obituary data. Some of it we pull out of the electronic health record. And some of it we use that team of abstractors to pull out of places like the condolence card, because the condolence card might be the best way to know that this patient has passed away. And so we pull all those kinds of data points together to now create one data set around that variable, just one single variable. And you can imagine that at Flatiron, we're doing that for every single variable you need for cancer research. The part that I think really moves the needle most substantively is because we create these very clean data sets, we're then able to use those data sets for research and discovery. So as a cancer patient, that means the development of new medicines that then get back to you in the clinic.
But our industry is not known for speed, and you're talking warp speed. This is a quantum leap for what we're used to. So what are going to be the challenges? Because I don't know that the rest of us can keep up with that.
Historically, it has taken somewhere between 14 and 17 years to go from a medicine that we think might work to widespread use in the population within whom it does work. That's how long it takes to develop a medicine. At Flatiron, what we're seeing is we can speed up those cycles to 18 or 24 months, and maybe even faster. And what we're seeing is that that's not just a notion for the future, but we're starting to see that happen today, that we can speed those cycles up. So when I talk about speed, I'm talking about meaningful speed for patients.
And Amy, I see and feel your passion, your knowledge, your experience. I can understand it from a researcher's perspective and from a clinician's perspective, but you've experienced it from a personal perspective. Can you talk to me a little bit about your father?
Oh, my dad. So he was diagnosed in December of 2015 with a very rare metastatic cancer that had started within the bile tract. In trying to figure out how to help think through his care, several pieces were important. So one is that he wanted to receive his care at home. Like, he didn't want to fly to Houston or New York or wherever else. He wanted to stay in Orlando because he wanted to be a part of his community, which meant that he needed to be a part of a doctoring network where the information could come to him. And that was really important to him. And one of the things that I'm proud of within Flatiron is the way that we build our information networks, the way we build our software allows the best information to get to the doctor no matter what city you're in, and therefore the patient no matter what city you're in. So that was kind of one thing that my dad demanded and I got to see in action. The second thing was that because he had this rare cancer, every meeting that I had with a pharma client, every conference I went to, I looked for the latest and greatest in cholangiocarcinoma care. So I was able to look for the new drugs that were coming. But the sad story, and I talked to my dad about this a lot, was that a lot of the times those drugs were still stuck in the lab or early phase trials, and he didn't meet the requirements for those trials. And so now that we're starting to see ways that the discovery of new drugs and the figuring out of what works and what doesn't work is actually speeding up care. Although it didn't help my dad, his story helped inform how we think about how important that is. He always told me, let my story be a part of the future. And I remember that from my time in the clinic. My patients saying to me, don't let my story end here. In our collaborative project with the FDA, what we're seeing is that for patients with lung cancer, the majority of people are over 65 that are getting the immune checkpoint inhibitors, these new drugs that we're all talking about. Yet almost none of those patients were included in the clinical trials. Not only are we seeing that those are the patients getting the drugs, we're able to compare their survival compared to the younger patients who were treated in the clinical trials. And guess what? Age doesn't matter. And in fact, these drugs work equally well regardless of your age. So that's an example of a proof point where in working with the FDA, we have shown for a patient sitting in front of me in clinic who's older in life, this drug is equally efficacious and is going to work equally well as a patient who's got the same biomarker as the younger crowd. And so we're able to start using this to figure out how do we tailor care in the clinic.
So this is true actionable information.
Yes.
We're finally making information available and actionable at the root level.
At the root level. The whole purpose of Flatiron is to make sure that every single cancer patient's story is a part of the future in the way that they want it to be.
I'm going to shift a little bit for a minute, and I want to ask you a question. I mean, you are truly a leader in every single way. I'm thinking about those people that want to aspire into leadership. What advice can you give them? Because you've become that leader. What can you do to encourage them along?
Well, so I think I have 3 parts to my advice. The first is opportunity comes to the prepared. Be prepared and then go for it when interesting things come in front of you. You don't know if you're going to suddenly move to Australia and completely change your career over to informatics, or you're going to keep on the same path that you were on in leukemia and lymphoma. You don't know what that's going to look like, but jump for it. The second is that mentoring counts. Choose your mentors wisely. Have mentors that when you come into the mentoring relationship, you understand what you're hoping to get out of that relationship, but you're also very explicit about what you're going to give to the relationship. And you treat that relationship with incredible respect and care, and you show up and you're part of that mentoring relationship, because honestly, the mentors are going to be who create your network and to take you forward in life. The last piece of advice I have for people, believe it or not, is to be a weeble. You might remember that weebles wobble, but they don't fall down, right? Like, you're going to get knocked against the head. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to go the way you want, right? But don't be afraid to just stand back up and keep on trying, because the best way to get to the place where you want to be is to keep moving forward and not let things move you backwards.
And those are 3 great examples. That perseverance, as you said, and the weebles, you're right. We all get knocked down, but how many times do we get up? And we have to keep getting up and keep going for it. Just like me and juicing. This is new to all of us, right? But we're having a lot of fun doing it. So I'm going for it, right? And we're juicing.
I love it.
This has been a tremendous experience. Thank you for spending a little time having some fun juicing and for helping us tell these stories. Cheers.
Thank you.